Hello my dear students, welcome to the fifth session of reproduction in organisms. In the previous classes, we have studied about the asexual reproduction both in plants as well as in animals. Today's class, we will study about what is sexual reproduction. Let us first study about the characters of sexual reproduction. So when it comes to sexual reproduction, we have to know that sexual reproduction is always biparental. So we know what is biparental. Sexual reproduction always requires the participation of two parents. Bi is two. So biparental means it involves or it requires the participation of two parents. That too, they have to belong to opposite sex. Okay, so biparental, participation of two parents belonging to opposite sex. Next, in sexual reproduction, the gametes have to be formed. I hope you remember when we discussed about asexual reproduction, I had said you there is formation, there is no formation and fusion of gametes, but when it comes to sexual reproduction, gametes have to be formed. That too, the gamete have to be male gamete and female gamete. Okay, the formation of gametes is a must when it comes to sexual reproduction. Next one is fertilization takes place since there is formation of male and female gametes. So this male and female gametes have to fuse. Okay, this fusion of male and female gametes is called as fertilization. So in sexual reproduction there is fertilization. Next, it involves both mitosis and meiosis. So in sexual reproduction, when it comes to cell division, okay, so for the formation of gametes, meiosis has to take place since usually the adult will be diploid, okay, or the meiocytes will be diploid. That is why meiosis has to take place and only then there will be formation of gametes. After the formation of gametes and fusion of gametes, okay, once the zygote is formed, then the organism or the embryo which comes from zygote, okay, the embryo has to undergo growth. Okay, when it shows growth, it has to show cell division, mitosis. So for the formation of gametes, meiosis is required. For the growth of the embryo, okay, mitosis is required. So in sexual reproduction, both mitosis as well as meiosis is required. Next, the daughter organisms differ from parent. As I am telling you, so since there is participation of both male and female gametes, okay, there is participation of both male and female gametes, ಎರಡು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಕೂಡ ಬಂದಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ there is what is that difference. Okay, daughter organisms are not identical. ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ asexual reproduction ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಮಾರ್ಫೊಲಾಜಿಕಲಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಕಲ್ ಟು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಆ ರೀತಿಯ ಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ನಮಗೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್. ದ ಆಫ್ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಶೋ ಸಮ್ ಸಿಮಿಲಾರಿಟಿ ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನೆವರ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಕಲ್ ಈವನ್ ಅಮಾಂಗ್ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ರಾಜನಿಯ ಮಧ್ಯ ಕೂಡ ಅಥವಾ ಆಫ್ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಧ್ಯ ಕೂಡ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಕಲ್. ದೇ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನಾಟ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಕಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆಫ್ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆನೂ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಶೋ ಸಮ್ similarities only since there is fusion of two gametes. Okay, next, multiplication is not so rapid. So asexual reproduction ಅಲ್ಲಿ offsprings ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಬೇಗ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. Okay, large number of offsprings were produced in a very short span of time, but not in sexual reproduction. The process is very slow, okay, very elaborate here. That is why there is no rapid multiplication of offsprings in sexual reproduction. So this is the last point, that is sexual reproduction contributes to the evolution of the species. I have told you, since there is fusion of gametes that is derived from different parents, okay, there will be variation among organisms and variation among the offsprings, okay, contributes to evolution. One offspring innondakkinta tumba bere agirodrinda bere halavu reetiyalli there might be evolution, so it contributes to the evolution. Fine. So these are the basic characters of sexual reproduction. So it involves two parents, the participation of two parents. So then gametes have to be formed, the gametes have to fuse, which is called as fertilization or syngamy. Then both type of cell division, mitosis as well as meiosis, is seen in sexual reproduction. So the offsprings that are produced, they are not identical to the parents, and then the multiplication is not rapid, it is not very fast, and then this sexual reproduction contributes to evolution. So that is about the characteristic features of sexual reproduction. Now, an organism cannot show sexual reproduction right from the day it is born. Okay, it cannot show sexual reproduction right from the day it is born. So it needs to grow for a certain period of time. So now all the organisms that show sexual reproduction shows three important phases. The first phase is said to be the juvenile phase or the vegetative phase. After this we can see this reproductive phase. Okay, after this we can see the reproductive phase, and then we have this senescence phase. Okay, so all the sexually reproducing organisms, they show three important phases or three important stages in their life cycle. The first important phase is juvenile phase, followed by reproductive phase, and then we have this senescence phase. First, let us study about the juvenile or vegetative phase. So juvenile or vegetative phase, so this is the period where an organism shows growth so that it becomes capable of reproducing. Andre, the period from birth, okay, till it attains maturity or it becomes capable of reproducing. Okay, the period from birth until an organism attains maturity or it becomes capable of reproducing. Our period, okay, we call it as juvenile or vegetative phase. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈ juvenile phase ಅಂತ ನಾವು animals ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, animals ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ phase ನ from birth until they attain maturity ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, this phase is called juvenile phase in animals. Okay, when it comes to plants, the term vegetative phase is used. They are one and the same, but still juvenile term is used in animals and vegetative phase is the term that is used for plants. Okay, now let us see the first phase. I told you juvenile or vegetative phase andre the period from birth allinda until it attains maturity or until it becomes capable of showing reproduction. A phase vargu juvenile. Ega, how will we know that an organism is now capable of showing reproduction? So that we'll study now when it comes to a plant. Okay, plants ige bandaga, how will we know that a plant is now capable of showing reproduction anta helidre? It will start showing flowering. Okay, plants start showing flowering. Yavaga flowering shuru aito, plants are ready for reproduction. Inmele reproduction torsatte anta artha. It indicates the reproductive phase. Okay, flowering in a plant shows that it is in reproductive phase. ಈ ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಓಕೆ ಯು ನೋ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಯು ನೋ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನ್. ಸೊ ಆನ್ಯಲ್ಸ್, ಬೈನಿಯಲ್ಸ್, ಪೆರಿನಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಆನ್ಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬೈನಿಯಲ್ಸ್, ಓಕೆ ಆನ್ಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬೈನಿಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ ಟು ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಷಿಯೇಟ್ ದ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಫೇಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸೈಕಲ್. ಓಕೆ ಆನ್ಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬೈನಿಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಫೇಸಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇದೇ ವೆಜಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಫೇಸ್, ಇದೇ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ತುಂಬ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ತೋರಿಸುವ ಮೊದಲು ವೆಜಿಟೇಟಿವ್, ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದ ಹಾಗೇ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಬಹುದು ಆನ್ಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ, ಬೈನಿಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಪೆರಿನಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಓಕೆ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಪೆರಿನಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಟು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಷಿಯೇಟ್. ಆಗ ಇದೇ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ತೋರಿಸತ್ತೆ, ಈಗ ತೋರಿಸಲ್ಲ ಈ ಥರ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಎರಡು ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ನ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಓಕೆ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ತುಂಬ ಸರ್ತಿ ತೋರಿಸತ್ತೆ ಪೆರಿನಿಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಟು ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ಫೇಸಸ್ ಆಗ ಹೇಳೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೈ ಬೈನಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆನ್ಯಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಕಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನೀವು ಜುವಿನೈಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಹೇಳಬಹುದು. bit difficult in perennials. Okay, adrallu we have some plants which show unusual flowering. Okay, this is very important. We have some plants which show unusual flowering. So first one mentioned in our NCERT is the bamboo species. Okay, bamboo. So we know that bamboo lives for about 50 to 80 years. Okay, 50ರಿಂದ 80 ವರ್ಷ ಅಥವಾ 100 years ವರೆಗೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So last year ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ it starts showing flowering and seed setting. Okay, ಅಂದರೆ it flowers only once in its lifetime. Okay, flowering only once in its lifetime. Okay, ಯಾವುದು? Bamboo. Bamboo flowers only once in its lifetime. It lives for about 50 to 100 years. 50 to 100 years ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸಾಯುವ ವರ್ಷ ಅದು ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. Such plants which shows flowering only once in its lifetime are called as monocarpic plants. Okay, monocarpic plants that show flowering only once in its lifetime. So there are a few plants which shows flowering many times in its life cycle. Okay, flowering ana tumba sarti torsate lifetime alli. Such plants are referred to as polycarpic plants. Okay, the plants that show flowering many times in its life cycle are called as polycarpic. Plants that show flowering only once in its lifetime are called as monocarpic. When it comes to unusual flowering plants, first example that we need to remember is bamboo that flowers only once. The second example is of Strobilanthus kuntiana. Okay, the second example is that of Strobilanthus kuntiana, which shows flowering once in every 12 years. Okay, second example that we need to remember is Strobilanthus kuntiana, which flowers for only once in 12 years. Okay, and this is commonly called as Neelakuranji flowers. Very important. Okay, Neelakuranji, Strobilanthus kuntiana. So now ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ನಮಗೆ. ಜುವಿನೈಲ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋವರೆಗೂ ಆ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಜುವಿನೈಲ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಆನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ವೆಜಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಶೋಸ್ ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್, ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ರೀಚ್ ದ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಫೇಸ್. ಫೈನ್. ಸೊ monocarpic flowering once in its lifetime and polycarpic flowering many times in its life cycle. Okay, yes. So plants ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿತು. What about animals? What about animals? So how will we know that animals have reached the reproductive phase? animals have reached the reproductive phase ಅಂತ ಹೇಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ either it will show menstrual cycle or ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವು ನಾನ್ ಪ್ರೈಮೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ we can see estrous cycle. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಮೆನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಲ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ರಸ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಆನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ರೀಚ್ ದ reproductive phase. Okay, menstrual cycle, estrous cycle ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ. So we know that what is menstrual cycle, we have studied in detail in human reproduction. So menstrual cycle ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ the endometrium sheds. Okay, endometrium sheds from the uterus. Okay, the endometrium sheds from the uterus, break down agate endometrium uterus inda. So we can see this bleeding. Okay, we can see the bleeding in menstrual cycle. And remember, menstrual cycle takes place only in primates like apes, humans, monkeys. Okay, apes ಅಲ್ಲಿ, humans ಅಲ್ಲಿ, monkeys ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು menstrual cycle, primates ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು menstrual cycle ನ ನೋಡಬಹುದು, where there is shedding of endometrium through endometrium from uterus. Okay, from the uterus the endometrium just sheds and we can see the bleeding during that time, menstrual cycle. Okay, what about estrous cycle? In estrous cycle the endometrium is reabsorbed. Okay, estrous cycle ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, endometrium does not shed. Endometrium does not shed. ಇಲ್ಲಿ shedding ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, instead it is reabsorbed. Instead it is reabsorbed. So there is no bleeding. Okay, estrous cycle ತೋರಿಸುವಂಥ organisms bleeding ತೋರಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Estrous cycle is very common in non-primates like rats, deers, dogs. Okay, all these organisms. Non-primates ali estrous cycle is common. So estrous cycle ali there is no shedding of endometrium, instead endometrium is reabsorbed, there is no bleeding. Okay, after that this organisms or animals showing estrous cycle, their behavior, okay, their sexual behavior is very evident, very clearly we can see their see the changes in their behavior once they are in estrous cycle. Okay, and even when they are in their estrous cycle we can see a very high blood titer of estrogen. Okay, a high blood titer of estrogen can be observed when an organism is showing estrous cycle. The period of estrous cycle varies from organisms to organism. ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನದವರೆಗೂ estrous cycle ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, that depends. ಓಕೆ, ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಹೀಟ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. estrous cycles ತೋರಿಸುವಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಟಿಗೆ ಬಂತು, ಹೀಟ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಂತ estrous cycleನ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಎವಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೌ, ಇನ್ ಡೀರ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ ಡಾಗ್ಸ್, ರ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್, ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ estrous cycle is also dependent on factors like the season as well as climate. Okay, estrous cycle is dependent on season and also climate. Fine, that is how we will come to know that animal is in reproductive phase. Okay, so when it comes to animals, menstrual cycle or estrous cycle signifies that an organism is in its reproductive phase. Right, next. Now we have the seasonal breeders and continuous breeders. You are familiar with this. The organisms which are capable of showing reproduction only in particular duration of an year. Okay, the organisms capable of showing reproduction only in a particular duration, only in a particular season alli matra breeding, reproductively active agidre, we call them as seasonal breeders. Okay, seasonal breeders anta kariteve. Continuous breeders andre they are reproductively active, the organisms that are reproductively active throughout the year. Okay, organisms that are reproductively active throughout the year, they are called as continuous breeders. Next, After seasonal and continuous breeders, next one is senescent phase. I told you. So first was juvenile phase. Juvenile phase andre enu anta gottaytu. We also have come across what is reproductive phase now. Reproductive phase andre enu anta gottaytu. Organisms hege torsatte reproductive phase alli ide anta. So last phase is senescent phase. So what happens in senescent phase is, this is a phase between maturity of an organism and death. Okay, maturity, reproductively active yavaga agatto allinda death vargu. That phase is called as senescent phase anta nav kariteve. So in senescent phases, what happens is there is functional deterioration anta kariteve navu. Aita, so activities cells in ella activities enagta barate, it gets slowing down. Okay, slow down of the functions of the cells takes place in senescent. And metabolically enagta bare tumba slow agta hogutte activities of an organism, that is senescent phase. So that is about the 3 phases of organism showing sexual reproduction: the juvenile phase, the reproductive phase, and the last one is senescent phase. Okay, so now we will discuss about events in sexual reproduction. So when it comes to events in sexual reproduction, so the entire event of sexual reproduction are divided into 3 phases. I repeat, the entire event of sexual reproduction is divided into 3 events. Okay, one is called pre-fertilization events, and then we have fertilization, and after that we have post-fertilization events. Okay, when it comes to sexual reproduction, we have pre-fertilization events, fertilization, followed by post-fertilization events. Let us first study about pre-fertilization phase. In the pre-fertilization phase, the important events are, first one is gametogenesis. Okay, 2 important events takes place in pre-fertilization phase. First one among them is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis means the formation of gamete. Okay, gametogenesis means gamete genesis, formation of gametes is gametogenesis. During gametogenesis, in some organisms where the gametocytes or gametogenous cells are diploid. Okay, in organisms where gametogenous cells are diploid, meiosis has to take place for the formation of gametes. I repeat, in organisms which have diploid gametogenous cells, okay, they have to show meiosis to produce gametes. You know that gametes are always haploid. Okay, gametes are always haploid. So only if diploid gametogenous cells undergo meiosis, only then can haploid gametes be formed alva. Hagagi kelavuralli meiosis agbeku. Some organisms which have haploid gametocytes, okay, organisms which have haploid gametocytes, they will undergo mitosis and produce haploid gametes. Okay, am I clear? Organism showing diploid gametocytes, okay, they have to undergo meiosis and produce haploid gamete, but organism showing haploid gametocytes, they will undergo mitosis and produce haploid gametes. Whatnalli gametes have to be haploid, that's it. Okay, gametes are always haploid. Now, when it comes to gametes in algae, fungi and all, okay, when it comes to gametes in algae, fungi and all, we can see this isogametes. Okay, we can see isogametes. Yeah, we can see isogametes. Iso itself says same, okay, or homo also means same. Isogametes or homogametes means male and female gamete are similar in, okay, very similar in structure, function and morphologically, okay, morphologically they are very identical. Male and female gametes are, both male and female gametes are morphologically very identical. You cannot differentiate which is male or which is female at all. ಅಷ್ಟು ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಆಗಿರುವ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಐಸೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೋಮೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ದೆಮ್ ಆಸ್ ಐಸೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹೋಮೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್. In a few organisms, okay, in few organisms, what happens is the gametes differ in its size. Okay, the gametes differ in their size. So male gamete may be smaller and female may be larger in size. Okay, male may be smaller, female will be larger in size, and even related to motility also. Okay, motility also, one will be motile, another will be non-motile. So if they show difference in their sizes, then they are referred to as heterogametes. Okay, if the gametes are of same sizes and morphologically you cannot distinguish at all, then they are called isogametes. If the gametes differ in their sizes, okay, the two sizes are different, male and female gametes differ even morphologically, then you call them as heterogametes. Then what is oogamous? Okay, if female gamete is larger in size and if it is immotile, while male is smaller in size and it is motile. Okay, female is larger in size and immotile, whereas male is smaller in size and motile. Such gametes are called as oogametes, or such condition is called as oogamous condition. I hope you came to know about this now. Isogametes, similar in size, okay, morphologically same. Okay, heterogametes, they differ in their size. Male and female can be clearly differentiated. When it comes to oogamous type, female should be larger in size and should be immotile, whereas male should be smaller in size and should be motile gamete. Okay, so that is about the production of gametes. Next, let us study about the sexuality of organisms. So depending upon the production of gametes, okay, where the gametes are produced, whether in the same individual or different individuals. Okay, so first let us study what is bisexual or monoacious. So bisexual means if an organism is possessing or producing both male as well as female gametes. Okay, if an organism is producing both male and female gametes, then they are referred to as bisexual organism. When it comes to plants, we call them as monoacious. Okay, ಇದು animals ಅಲ್ಲಿ bisexual ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ, but plants ಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ monoacious condition, where male and female both gametes are produced in the same individual. Okay, what is unisexual condition or dioecious condition? So unisexual anta bandaga, the organism is producing only one gamete. It is having only one reproductive structure, either male or female. Okay, an organism is having only one reproductive structure, either male or female, producing only male gamete or female gamete, any one among them. Such organisms, okay, animals are unisexual. When it comes to plant, dioecious anta kariteve. So monoacious plant ge best example is cucurbita. Okay, cucurbita and coconut are the best example. Okay, cucurbita and then coconut are the best example for monoacious, whereas dioecious ge we have this papaya and palm. Ili male plant bere, female plant bere. Okay, date palm, I have to mention that, date palm. Okay, date palm and papaya, ali male plant bere, female plant bere. Okay, next, what are staminate flowers? The flowers that have only stamens. Okay, the flowers that have only stamens are called as staminate flowers. Okay, and stamens ಮಾತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ definitely plant is male plant ಅದು ಅಲ್ವಾ. male plant ಅಲ್ಲಿ they bear flower that has only stamens. Okay, pistillate, the flowers that have only carpels. ಓಕೆ, ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಪೊಸೆಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ಸ್, ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುವ ಹೂಗಳು ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್ ತಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಪೊಸೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಮೆನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟಾಮಿನೇಟ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್. Flowers that produce only carpels are called pistillate flowers. Okay, so this homothallic and heterothallic, this condition is said in algae and fungi. Okay, algae fungi allella ನಾವು bisexual ಅಂತಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ homothallic heterothallic, ಮೇಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಒಂದೇ ಥ್ಯಾಲಸಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೆ, ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಥ್ಯಾಲಸಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೆ ಹೋಮೋಥ್ಯಾಲಿಕ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. Male and female gametophytes, okay, gametes are produced in different thallus. Okay, male reproductive structure ಬೇರೆ thallus ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಫೀಮೇಲೆ ಬೇರೆ thallus ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೆಟಿರೋಥ್ಯಾಲಿಕ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. When it comes to animals, okay, when it comes to animals, hermaphrodites, this term is also used, an organism that possess both male and female reproductive structures. Okay, an organism that possess both male and female reproductive structure is known as hermaphrodite. Best example for this is earthworm, okay, and then tapeworm, leeches, sponges and all. Okay, earthworm, tapeworm, leeches, sponges, all these are hermaphrodites. They possess both male as well as female reproductive structure in a single organ. In one organism only we can see both the reproductive structure. Such organisms are called hermaphrodites. That is sexuality. Okay, yes. Next, next we will study about the cell division. Now gametes are formed. I just told you gametes need to be formed. Yavaga gametogenesis alli gametes are formed alva. So which type of cell division is required during gamete formation? That is also very essential. Okay, the type of cell division that needs to be carried out during gamete formation. So when it comes to algae and fungi, okay, when it comes to algae and fungi, the adult body is haploid. The adult body is haploid. The adult is haploid in algae and fungi. So N, okay, haploid. Adult body haploid ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು? ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್. ಸರಿನಾ? ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೌ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್, ಈಗ ಝೈಗಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಎರಡು ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ, ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮಿಯಾಸಿಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ನೌ. Okay, meiosis takes place in zygote. Okay, in algae and fungi, the adult is haploid. Okay, algae ಮತ್ತೆ fungi ಅಲ್ಲಿ adult body is haploid. Since adult body is haploid, okay, gametes are produced by the process of mitosis. So now male and female gametes will fuse. Once the male and female gametes fuses, it results in the formation of zygote. Okay, now zygote will undergo meiosis and produce haploid spores. So since meiosis takes place in this stage, the meiosis here is called as zygotic meiosis or initial meiosis. Okay, since the formation of since the meiosis takes place in zygote, okay, this meiosis is called as zygotic meiosis or initial meiosis. Next, what about bryophytes, pterodophytes and gymnosperms, as well as angiosperms also? Okay, angiosperms also. Yeah, In Bryophytes, Pterodophytes, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms, what happens here is the adult plant body is sporophyte. Sporophyte. Okay, the adult plant body is sporophyte. So sporophyte andre definitely 2n. Alva sporophyte andre 2n anta gottide namge. So now the sporophyte, okay, gamete should always be gamete should be haploid. Gamete should be haploid. So sporophytic stage alli iga meiosis will occur. Okay, sporophytic stage, sporophyte irbekare meiosis will occur and it results in the formation of gametes. Since ee stage alli meiosis aagta irodrinda, this is called sporic meiosis or intermediary meiosis. Okay, sporophyte stage alli meiosis ಆಗಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ gametes form ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಈ meiosis ನ sporic meiosis or intermediary meiosis ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. Okay, ಎಲ್ಲಿ in Bryophytes, Pterodophytes, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Okay, plant body, adult plant body is a sporophyte and meiosis occurs in sporophyte and then there is formation of gametes. Okay, since meiosis occurs in this stage, the meiosis called as sporic meiosis or intermediary meiosis. When it comes to animals, even human beings also, okay, animals ge bandaga meiosis agodu gamete formation igoskara matra. Okay, meiosis takes place only during the formation of gametes. Okay, definitely we are diploid. Okay, definitely we are diploid. Okay, and meiosis occurs only for the formation of gametes. That is why the meiosis here is called as gametic meiosis or terminal meiosis. Okay, in animals the meiosis is called as gametic meiosis or terminal meiosis. So the type of cell division that takes place for gamete formation is meiosis in algae, fungi, bryophytes, pterodophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms and in animals. Okay, now so the second event in pre-fertilization, okay, is gamete transfer. So pre-fertilization alli gametogenesis and formation of gamete aitu iga. Okay, formation of gametes aitu. Iga form agiruva gametes ಏನು ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ರೆ they are of no use ಅಲ್ವಾ. if it stays there itself it is of no use. It has to be, and the male and female gametes have to be brought together. Okay, only then fertilization is possible. So male and female gamete have to be brought together. That process is called as gamete transfer. Only if there is successful gamete transfer, then fertilization is possible. Okay, let us see what happens in isogamy and anisogamy. In isogamy and anisogamy, in both the gametes, okay, since they are motile, they will flow or they will swim actively. Okay, ಹೇಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಎರಡು ಹತ್ರ ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹೇಗೆ ಹೌ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ ಐಸೋಗ್ಯಾಮಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅನ್ಐಸೋಗ್ಯಾಮಿ ಈ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಎರಡೂ ಕೂಡ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಮೊಟೈಲ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೈ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ವಿಮ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಲಿ. ವೆರಾಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ಲಾನೋಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೊಟೈಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇಫ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೊಟೈಲ್ ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ passively in water currents. Okay, they are brought together passively by water currents. ಹಾಗೆ ಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಹತ್ರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಎರಡು ಎ ಪ್ಲಾನೋ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹತ್ರ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರುತ್ತೆ. When it comes to sperms, the movement of the sperms is always controlled chemically. Okay, chemically, some chemicals, okay, they attract the movement or they regulate the movement of the sperms. When it comes to plants ಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ we know that the male gamete is present within the pollen grain ಅಲ್ವಾ. pollen grain ಒಳಗಡೆ male gametes ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Since male gametes are immotile, okay, male gametes in plants are immotile, they cannot move. They are carried near female gamete with the help of pollen tube. Okay, with the help of pollen tube, the male gametes reach the egg or male gametes reach the female gamete in plants with the help of pollen tubes. Okay. When it comes to animals, semen is used as a mean of transportation for sperms. Okay, for the transportation, for the movement of sperms, semen play a very important role. Okay, so this is how the gametes transfer, or male and female gametes are brought near each other for fertilization.